Cool beans. And then I just noticed a chat from Craig Saunders. And we don't send out the slides, but we will be recording all of this. So we will put that out on, where we put them out on YouTube's, and you'll be getting a link to this.
They go on YouTube, and we will send an email to everyone who registered that has a recording.
Perfect. Thank you, Hunter.
Of course.
You can watch it over and over and over again. Take it enough. I see a couple of familiar names. Welcome back. Those of you who have joined us in the past. Those of you who are new, welcome to our webinar series. We do these, is it once a month now, Hunter? It's a great opportunity for us to try new material, to meet new people, and just kind of get our brand out there. Plus, just learning new things is super fun. Can you guys hear that music? Is that cool? Feel free to dance with me.
I like it. It's a nice little vibe.
It was just so quiet, like before we start, it's just kind of awkward silence. I thought maybe this would help break it up a little bit. It is royalty free on us, so don't worry, we're not going to get sued.
Perfect.
Like you were wondering, right? All right, it is top of the hour. We're going to give people 3 more minutes. I like to give just a little bit of a buffer for people who have their clocks might be a little bit different, and then we'll jump right in. So Anna, I have a question for you about Dune. So which one was Sting in an original Dune? You know, Sting
in Doom or Dune?
Dune.
Oh, I thought you meant Doom, and I was like, are you talking about the video game? Dune. Yeah, I think he was in the 1984 version of Doom. I'm pretty sure, which was a very bizarre movie.
Well, I was like, oh, Dune's all the big hit, blah, blah, blah. So I started watching it, and it was hard to watch. I couldn't get through it. I never saw Sting, so I was just wondering.
Yeah, I think that the 2021, 2022, whenever it comes out version is going to be much better.
I'm excited. I really like that Timothée Chalamet. He's nice to look at too. All right. Children of Dune. What is Children of Dune? Kyle Knight just put that in the chat. Never heard of that.
Yeah, you need to check it out. That was done around the same time by Sci-Fi.
Oh.
I have not watched that. I do need to watch that then.
Anna's a huge Dune geek, right?
I did. Well, I do, apparently not enough if I have not watched this Dune miniseries here. So
step it up. All right. Right. Let's see, there I have 3 minutes. So welcome everybody. It's great to have you here for an hour. We're going to talk about some potential agile resolutions you may want to consider establishing, either just on your own or with your teams or with an organization in general. Couple things. First of all, am I sharing my screen? I am not. If this is your first time here, we like to make these potentially interactive if you're interested. Some people are like, I'm eating a sandwich, I don't want to talk. That's okay too. If you want to interrupt and share a story, love that, or an experience, or if you have a question, feel free to interrupt. Also, if you want to put your questions in the chat, Anna will be monitoring the chat, and they'll just let me know, say, hey, so-and-so has a question, because sometimes I get forgetful and I won't look at it. So that's why she is here. So my name is Jill Stott. I work at NextUp Solutions. You can see that there. And my colleague, Anna, would you mind introducing yourself, Anna?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Anna. I am the training coordinator here at NextUp Solutions, and I will be here to help assist with any questions that may pop up. Again, as Jill said, I will be monitoring the chat and flagging them for Jill as they come in. So if you have any specific questions and you don't want to interrupt Jill as she's presenting, just put them in the chat and I will go ahead and interrupt her for you. So perfect. But I'm here to help. And again, any questions, please feel free to reach out. But looking forward to the webinar.
Fantastic. Thanks, Anna. So again, Jill Stott, I am an Agile trainer. I've been an Agile coach for a long, long time. Been in the industry, the IT industry, in a bunch of different roles over the past 20 plus years. So I've just been focusing on training the last year or so, and it's been really fun to get to know different people and to learn together. So a teeny bit about our company. Let me hide this. So some of the classes that we provide, I teach the Kanban classes, safe classes periodically, and some customized classes when people are like, hey, we have this special need. Can you put together a class for us specifically? Absolutely, we'd love to do that. We have 2 wonderful ESTs on staff. Oh yes, there is some background sound. Thank you, Brittany. If you can mute yourself, if you have some kids in the background, that would be fantastic. Let's see. So yes, so we have the Scrum Alliance certified classes that we offer every single month. If you're interested, we would love to see you there. Okay. Now, jumping into the topic. So you're probably thinking, Jill, it's January 27th, the month's almost over. Why are we doing our resolutions? And personally, I've decided that the new year is not going to start till February 1st. Does that seem fair on it? I mean,
I agree with that. I like it.
No, and then I had all these resolutions for January 1st, and then everything went weird. And I thought, we'll give it 1 more month.
Yeah, just push it back a little bit.
Maybe push it back to March. We'll see. So February 1st. So I was thinking about just the term resolution. I always thought it was kind of odd. Why do we call it a resolution? What's the etymology behind that? So yes, thank you, exactly. Too much baggage. I thought for some reason on January 1st, 2021, all our problems would be behind us, but apparently we still have a pandemic. It's a big surprise. So the whole term resolution. So if you look at the base, it's a solution, right? We're coming up with solutions. And then the RE in front of it essentially means again. So it's a concerted attempt or a goal that you've set to solve a problem again. So you don't need to feel bad, like, hey, I've done this before and I didn't quite get what I wanted out of it. That's the whole intent. We're always trying to continually improve and fix our problems, if you will, and so we can be more successful. All right, so here I'm going to do a quick poll here. And I know there's, and I'm guilty of this, so many people set their resolutions, whether it's the new year or they set these goals out for themselves, and then are not able to accomplish them. Like, I'm guilty of that. Like, I'll set my goal January 1st, then January 3rd. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not going to do it this year. I'll wait till next year. So I'm going to go ahead and start a poll in Zoom. You should see a pop-up. And it's just asking, in your opinion, what do you think the reasons are that it is so difficult to complete our resolutions? There we go. All right, 9 people voted so far.
And Jill, we received a question in the chat. I just wanted to confirm with you. An individual is wondering if the course offers PDU, professional development units.
Oh, this one, I don't think so. That's a good question, though. No,
I'll check. I can double check and confirm.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and excuse me, end the poll and share the results. See what we're thinking. Can you guys see the results? So it looks like, ooh, we have a tie, lack of self-discipline and shifting priorities. Absolutely. There's a lot of different reasons, and we're not going to dig into these too much, but it's one thing to find the right goals to set for yourselves, those that will bring the most value to your lives and your workplace. But then the other thing is human nature, understanding what things make it difficult to complete those. Self-discipline is part of it. Another thing, and we'll talk about at the end of this webinar, is, hey, using agile techniques to help you break those goals into smaller achievable chunks and then gradually get those to done makes it a lot easier as well. All right. So my colleague said I probably overshot on this one, but honestly, we're going to talk about 7 different resolutions that you can implement, or maybe you already are, or you can implement them in maybe a more mature fashion to improve productivity, predictability, and creativity, and then finally joy. Life is hard enough. It's so cool if you can have a job where you experience joy. You're like, oh, I'm excited to sit down and do this type of work or meet with my colleagues. It really makes a huge difference just for your well-being. Also, you're able to produce better value when you're happier, right? All right. So here's all the ones I'm going to go over. Don't read these now. Spoiler. So let's start with the goal, overarching goal of productivity. Everyone's like, oh, we want to be more productive, blah, blah, blah. So it's common to think, hey, if I want to be more productive, meaning get more stuff done in a shorter amount of time, then it makes sense to just start working on a whole bunch of things at once, right? It's that illusion that if I just take 10 different things and I do a little bit of each one of those, it looks like I'm getting lots of things done. But in reality, you're not. So here's a proposal for a resolution for 2021. This year, I will stop starting new work until I finish the work I've already started. So this is like a Kanban phrase, stop starting and stop. Stop starting and start finishing. It sounds like a no-brainer, but this is a huge thing that will affect your productivity. So a couple of things. So I have this picture here. You can't see my screen, but boom. And the one on the left is some halfway finished vehicles. So this is what they call inventory. So I've got all this inventory. We've spent time and money creating these partially finished products. Now, the problem with inventory is if I have too much inventory, I've invested all this money and time, but I'm not getting anything in return. Which is a huge problem, right? We don't think about this when we don't have physical things that are a reminder of, oh my goodness, I've got 10 million cars on the parking lot, just sucking up the money that we put into it, as well as potentially decaying over time the value. So think about the work that you do as inventory. So I have a little picture on the right-hand side. If you're a software developer, your inventory could be that code, that incompleted code that you haven't actually delivered to your customer. The more stuff you have in your computer tied up, the more risk you have, right? As it may not add any value at all, and you're not getting anything in return. So think about your work as inventory. And the goal is to have almost no inventory, right? I want to get this puppy done and then either get the profit from it once I've delivered it, or at the very least, I'm getting feedback. Hey, am I building the right thing? Am I building the thing right? I don't know until I actually finish it and it gets into my customer's hands. So think about that and set a goal for yourself to really focus on completing work, get it done, then pull something into your queue. Also, you've probably heard of limit work in progress. That's a big thing too. Question, who here is really good at multitasking? Brian's really good at it. Honest. I bought this mug just for this occasion, so you can read it.
What does it say?
I'm multitasking. I'm such a dork. I can listen, ignore, and forget all at the same time. Totally worth that. Totally worth it.
I take it back. I'm good at that. I am a good multitasker.
Yes, that's the definition of
Oh, I'll
absolutely.
take
Love
it
that.
back.
Hashtag mom goals. So when it's simple things that we're doing, like I can drive and listen to the radio and have a conversation all at the same time. But as soon as we start doing things that take more of our brain power to do it, we're really, 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 really bad at multitasking. So if I start working on something and then, oops, actually, I think I'm going to go read my emails now. Every time I switch back and forth, I'm going to take at least a 20% hit in productivity because our human minds take time to get back where you were, all those little memory points in your brain, and it's just a waste. So if you want to have be more productive, do one thing, get it done, and then do another thing. And I have a problem with this, so I have to force myself to do it. So this is just a really simple Kanban board I set up in Trello. Trello is free. It's not the best tool, but it's free. So I guess I can't complain. So I have to put in, here's all these ideas that I have. And then I have a doing column and I put one thing in a time because it's so hard to, focus. And then I set my timer. I say, hey, I'm going to work on this for X number of minutes. And then I force myself to do that. And this just makes it easier to visualize that. So I know, hey, here's what's coming next, and it's in a prioritized order. All right, any questions on this potential resolution or thoughts? Okay, focused time. So this kind of goes along with the previous one. This year, I'm going to block out time in my schedule so I can focus and get work done. So it's basically making an appointment with yourself. And the problem is, like I said, when I'm multitasking, I'm doing no job, and then, oh, somebody pings me, I get an email, somebody hits me up on Slack, suddenly, boom, I'm distracted and I can't get back to done. So there's nothing wrong with, on your own personal calendar, booking out, maybe it's a couple hours a day. Just that focus time alone will really improve your personal productivity. Also, I've worked with a lot of Scrum teams where they collectively say, okay, here's the deal. At certain hours each day, we're going to block that out. We're not going to have any meetings. It's okay to turn off your Slack. It's okay to turn off your email so I can actually sit down and get my work done. Huge. Even just 2 hours is ginormous because you'll have that focus time and you'll actually be able to get stuff done without being interrupted. Excuse me. Any questions on this? Anyone have
I think,
experience doing this?
yeah, I was just going to say this is huge for me in my job. If I know I have to get something done, I have to block out stuff on my calendar and turn everything off. And sometimes I'll even turn on music so I'm not listening or paying attention to anything else.
Thank you, Brian. Absolutely. I'm the same way. Like when my email, it goes bing, it bings me. I can't not look at it. So I have to totally turn it off. And we want to make sure that your colleagues are aware that, hey, this is time I've blocked off. I'm not ignoring you. If there's an emergency, then I don't know. There's not going to be an emergency at my work anyway, right, Anna? Okay, so there's a couple ideas that you can implement, pretty easy to do in theory, that will give you a lot of return and enable you to get more stuff done with high quality with the same amount of time without overburdening yourself or working too many hours. All right, our next goal here, this is a big one in our Agile world, is predictability. What do we mean by predictability and why is it important?
I'm waiting for somebody else to answer, so I'm not like the.
Go for it, buddy.
I'll give it a shot. I think the benefit of predictability is just being able to plan what's coming up next. Like I'm a product owner, so that's a big benefit for me is you don't want to plan too soon or too late to lose the value of the intel you're able to gather to inform kind of the next thing you're working on.
Yes.
And managing expectations on the delivery side as well.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Amanda. That's really, really well said. So predictability, like you said, managing expectations is one of them, right? If somebody says, hey, can you do this piece of work for me? Or we have a customer request, the very next question I'll ask, when will it be done, right? And we want to be predictable. Granted, some of the things that we're asked to do, we don't know for sure. So we are going to make our best guess, but we're trying to be fairly predictable with a small margin of error. This is our teams. And then personally, if I say, hey, boss, I'm going to get this done tomorrow, and then it's not done for months and months and months, it breaks that trust, that bond you have with each other. And they're like, oh, I can't trust Jill. I've worked in teams where we were continually overestimating what we could get done and not realizing the damage it was doing to the business side. The business side was so frustrated with our teams and said, hey, we tell our customers this is going to be done in such and such time, and then you guys did not deliver. It's really a huge problem. So predictability is really important, and it's important that the teams understand why. You know, we're not trying to punish you and make things hard, and we understand that their estimates are estimates, but there's different tools you can use to be more, I don't want to say accurate, but to be more predictable. How about that? There you go. So here is a resolution to help with your predictability. So this year, I'm going to base my estimates on objective data from my past performance. So what does that mean? That's a lot of words. So a couple of different things. So if you're running Scrum, then what would the data use? Which data points would you use to say, hey, here's how much stuff we can get done over X amount of weeks?
You want
Exactly.
to use velocity?
Yes.
Sorry.
Kyle, and then Brittany in the chat, velocity. And what's velocity?
Basically, it's a made up number, but it's a number determined by the amount of work able to be done by individuals accumulated over time. So you know predictably how much work will be able to be done in this sprint or the next sprint based on that level of scrutiny that your whole team focuses on determining in the planning phase how much time is going to be spent on each backlog item.
Exactly. Thank you, Kyle. So the team, after they've been going for a while, and they say, okay, we can do about 30 story points each sprint. Say I have 2-week sprints. And now my product owner can look ahead and forecast and say, okay, so approximately I've got this many story points in my backlog. Given the fact that I can do 30 every 2 weeks, now I can say, okay, this is about how long it will take to get this release completed. It's not perfect science, right? There's going to be things that will be like, oops, oh, this is bigger than we thought. And that's the opportunity for our product owner to say, okay, well, we're going to take some of this scope out in order to meet our deadline. And then I saw something in the chat about other ways to determine how much work you can get done. Hold on, let me just look that up real quick. Yes, Kanban, love Kanban. So velocity is one way to do that using those story points. Another way, which I am a huge fan of, is using your cycle time, also known as lead time. And what that is, so in Kanban, rather than having those defined sprints, it's a continuous flow of value. So what I do is as soon as I commit to work, we have a little clock, you start timing it. Okay, and then I work it through until it's done. And then I stop the clock and I say, okay, so that piece of work took me a week. And I start building up these metrics. So I have a lead time or cycle time for individual items, but now I'm starting to collect data. Ooh, now I see we're trending. The team is working together, and it looks like on average, or in 90% of the cases, we can complete something in 7 days. Cool. Now I have some data that I can use and say, okay, based on what we have in our queue, and given the fact that we can process things in 7 days, this is how long it will take to get your particular request completed. And again, it's not a perfect science, but if you look at the data and say, 90% of the time I can do this in 7 days, then you set up those, what they call them, service level agreements with your customers or your customer representatives. And it's really hands-off way to do that, where there's not a lot of, talking and guessing. You're just pulling the data from your database to come up with those numbers. In addition to cycle time or lead time in Kanban teams, and you can do this if you're doing Scrum or Kanban, you still have that same metrics, you should anyway, is your throughput, right? It's kind of the similar thing to lead time. It's just the kind of the other side of the coin where, hey, I have some data now that the team's been working together. They're starting to be more efficient and more predictable. On average, we can get 10 things done in a week. And then we're looking at that data point, and then I can say, okay, this is about how much stuff I can get done over X amount of time, whether it's a week, a month, just depending on the size of your work. And then again, we can use that data, to come up with those estimates that are going to be more accurate. Also, they're great metrics, both of them, to say, hey, are we getting better or worse? Like if I'm looking at my lead time and suddenly, oh my goodness, it used to be 5 days, now it's 7 days, what's happened? And then that would be a good opportunity to start asking questions and seeing if we need to do some intervention with the team. Any questions on our estimates here or comments? All right, so predictability. This here, so this is a lot of words. I'm going to reserve some of my weekly capacity. So what is this all about? So we talked about, hey, on average, we can do work in 7 days, whatever those numbers are, or we can get 31 story points done in 2 weeks' time. But there's this thing called variability. Occasionally things come up that are unexpected, unplanned. Maybe the piece of work is bigger than we expected. Oh, maybe I have this huge request that was not anticipated, it was unplanned. It's going to come in. If I have everybody booked out 100% of their time working on this certain backlog that you've committed to, if something unexpected comes up, there's no flex, there's no ability to absorb that without affecting your delivery on all that stuff that you're working on. So essentially, this is, people hate this term, and if the term slack, we want to have a little bit of open capacity for each one of the people on the team, right? The amount will vary based on the team. And then if something does come in that's unexpected, it's not going to delay all the other work that you've committed to doing. You'll be able to handle that in most cases without any damaging to your schedule. Any questions on this resolution? Brian, I know Brian wants to say something.
Oh, I did. I said no. No questions.
No, just say no, right? When they're trying to put too much stuff on your plate, no, I have enough, I'm full. And I want to leave a little bit of extra space. Okay, I'm going with this analogy, stick with me, in case something better comes along or something different happens. So just like when you sit down at a buffet, leave some open space on your plate. And then if you finish everything and you're still hungry, cool, go get some more food. Have that open capacity. How's that for an analogy? Bam.
I like it.
All right. Our next goal, this is like such the buzzword, creativity. We need to be innovative, la, 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 which we do. If we don't, our competitors will do something that blows our product out of the water. Oh my goodness, I never even thought of that. So how can we introduce more creativity, more innovation, new ideas in order to be more competitive? One, also help people solve their problems in a better, more efficient manner. If you work for a nonprofit, hey, creative solutions to the problems in society or the people that you serve is key. So a couple of things here. So I'm starting with this one here. So understanding your customers. So step one, I can sit in my think cave and come up with all these awesome ideas that I think are amazing, right? And then when I actually did develop it and deliver it, my customers like, dude, we never asked for a puppet show on Agile. This is not really meeting our needs at all. So before you're like think tanking this out and actually putting pen to paper or coding things out, make sure you really understand your customer. And there's nothing more valuable than sitting and listening to them and asking questions. So a lot of times when I was on a Scrum team, we never heard from the customers directly. The customers would interact with our business team. And this was years ago. And we got this new boss, and he said, it is so important for you as the team members to periodically join those customer calls and hear their frustrations and their pain points with our product. And I was like, yeah, I don't have time for that, blah, blah, blah. So eventually I did go, and it was eye-opening. Like, I had no idea those little things that I thought were tiny was such a huge pain point for our customers. It really shaped and changed the way we QA'd our product, things that we designed to make it more usable. So it's number one, set up periodic meetings where everybody can hear and talk with your customers. It may not be, maybe you have 1 billion customers, your Amazon, at least get a subset. I was thinking this would be awesome even for our training organization. Hey, get some of our past clients, let's have a chit chat and really understand, hey, here's our frustrations. And then we come up with some amazing solutions that we hadn't thought of before. So this is a little thing that I was reading about the other day. Having some devoted time to create new ideas. So I call it an innovation station or creativity corner. Originally, I was thinking, oh, maybe we all get together and we brainstorm. All right, guys, let's think of some cool new ideas. But as I read more about this, apparently, to come up with those new ideas initially, it's better to do it individually. So what you want to do, have each person, carve out a certain time and just come up with some ideas, just wild ideas. In fact, some of these are really dumb, but here's some big crazy ideas that I was thinking about as far as training goes. Here's my favorite. Rent an RV and travel the country providing training sessions. Maybe it's not realistic, but at this point, you don't want to filter anything out, right? It's tempting to say, well, that's stupid, that will never work, but keep an open mind. So the thought is set up some type of, it could be a Trello board, it could be a wiki, maybe it's just a file somewhere where people can put in their ideas. And then once you have those ideas set up, people can respond back and forth. Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe we could also do this, this, and this. And then set up periodic meetings where you look at those items and you meet with your product owners and your development team, whatever type of work you do, and say, okay, some of these are pretty dang awesome. Let's actually put them in the backlog. Otherwise, they're just wishes, right? Put them in the backlog, commit to actually doing them according to the priority order. Questions on our innovation station? All right, and just one last thing. It's kind of intimidating, right, to come up with these new ideas because people are, I think it's just human nature. People love to just like, oh, that will never work. That's the dumbest idea ever. As soon as I have that negative feedback, I'm like, okay, never mind. And then your team's going to stop coming to you with new ideas. So it's kind of that yes and make sure that you're filtering your thoughts and your words to encourage new ideas. It doesn't mean every good idea is a good idea. It's not, right? It's just step through and understand these new ideas and then put that into motion when it makes sense. And then you want to have a big, I call this the discard rate. A lot of these good ideas won't fly. So you want to like, nope, we already thought that, throw this out. If you're not discarding a lot of your awesome ideas on the left-hand side when you're coming up with what features to add to your product, you're probably not thinking outside the box very well. So think about that. That's one of the metrics we talk about in the Kanban class is, hey, on that left side, before I've actually committed to doing the work, I want to be discarding ideas. I want to vet them, say, is this viable? Meeting with my clients, talking to stakeholders and so forth, and then putting it somewhere in our archive like, nope, this is why we're not going to do this based on the other opportunities that we have. just talking so fast.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
So do you have any thoughts on how to really create a culture of safety where people feel very comfortable sharing their ideas, that really allows people to feel accepted when, you know, there is that thought where, oh, if I share this, it'll be stupid, nobody will like it. But then you want to transition over to a different sort of culture so that you can draw those ideas out. What's your advice on that?
That's a great question, Kyle, and easier said than done. So it's coming, if I understand correctly, that psychological safety, right? I want to be able to be comfortable where I can say anything and people aren't going to ridicule me or tell me I'm dumb. Because one of the biggest things that a human drive is to fit in, right? I want to be part of the group. So that's an important thing. And there's a couple of things to that. It really is a cultural thing. And in my opinion, and someone else correct me if I'm wrong, it really starts from the top down. And it's super important for the management to establish, hey, here's the rules of the road. Basically, your working agreements. Hey, here's how we're going to respond to things we don't agree with. And then it's just, you start behaving that way. This is a great opportunity if you have somebody in the role of like a scrum master type person, who you start it with baby steps. That person could potentially take these ideas, and maybe they're anonymous at the beginning, depending on if you have some toxicity within your team, and then roll those out that way until people are more comfortable discussing. I love this question. Is there any other thoughts from the group? How you do go about setting up that safe space where people are comfortable, not just with their new ideas, but also saying, dude, I made a mistake, right? I can say, oh, I messed up. If we don't get those out in the open, then they're just going to keep happening again. So it's awesome if you can say, oh, I just destroyed the build. Oops. Okay, let's talk about how we're going to set up our infrastructure so that's not as easy to do. Other thoughts?
Well, I think it's similar to what you were saying, is like not shaming someone for an idea. Like if someone makes a mistake, depends on how you react to it. If it's treated as a learning thing, like, okay, let's learn, let's do it, rather than, I can't believe you did that, you shame him, fix it, we're all mad at you. People are less likely to admit to mistakes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. It's reframing failure as a learning opportunity. Yeah, absolutely. And that takes time too. I think, I could be wrong, but I think the younger generation gets that more. But when I grew up, everything was about shame, right? And we just embody it. And I have two teenage boys. I'm like, you don't have any shame. Like, I don't know how to control you now, which is so sad. But it really does hamper so many things when we hold back. We hold back with ideas or transparency when things need to happen because we don't want to be ashamed, so to speak. That's a hard thing. Wow, I feel like I'm not a good parent now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, anywho, great question. This is from Craig in the chat. The British call failure delayed success. I love that. I love that. That's going to steal that from you, Craig. Absolutely. You can't really do anything new until you've failed. And now you know, oh, this doesn't work. Now I'm going to try something else. Oh, this doesn't work. Again, if you're not doing any failure, probably not, again, thinking of doing new things you haven't tried before. That really is the only way to get something new completed, is to fail. All right. Last one, we have joy. Joy. I think I have another poll. Maybe not.
I did have one more comment on that.
Absolutely.
If you want to hear it. So in working on creating my own product, what I've found is that failure is absolutely necessary. And what I mean by that is that there's so much unknown at the start that you really have to present some things before your customers and get some immediate feedback to see if that's even what they want at all. And when there are only unknowns, as with my product, you have to do that in as little way as possible so that you can really start from scratch, start from, knowing nothing. And when you introduce things to customers, you get feedback so that you can even figure out what the next step should be. It's not like it's not like the waterfall approach where you've got some big grand idea where you are right. It's the opposite of that. You may have a big idea and 1% of that idea is correct. And you need to figure that out as quickly as possible. So that's what I think about when I think of, putting out there something that is going to fail. You do it purposefully so that you can get feedback and build those feedback loops so that you can, actually engage with your customer and find out what they really want, and better define your customer along the way too. Because I started with thinking that I was going to serve one group and switch completely, thinking that my product was going to eventually serve business leaders. And in all actuality, it's going to be more for Christian church leadership. That was a big jump, but it happened systematically over time by introducing it to customers over and over and over again and figuring out who the takers were, who really wanted it and why.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kyle. Really well said. We don't know exactly what direction we're going. We have to throw some things out there, just like you said. And the customers don't know what they want. They know what their problems are. They know what their struggles are. But until you show them something like, oh, that's not exactly what I had in mind, you have to go through that if you're going to do anything new that people haven't seen before. That is the only way. And I like that, Kyle. Back when I used to do waterfall, we just tried to make the unknown known by making stuff up. I would create this 2-year long, literally, here's every little thing we're going to do. I would write these 60-page specs just saying it's going to do this, and then inevitably 6 months into the project, everything we assumed was wrong, and we didn't have that vehicle to adapt and to change. And it was a huge waste of money and time to do all that heavy upfront planning, knowing it. We don't know what we don't know until we start jumping in, and then we pivot as we go. Absolutely. All right, so talking about our joy. So I'm going to put another poll out there, and this is all anonymous. How much joy do you experience at your job? So go ahead and joy, or it could be, hey, your happiness quotient. Do you like your job? I used to have a boss, every time we'd have our one-on-ones, this question was, how much do you love your job? It was like the most interesting question. And it really got me to thinking. And then I would start complaining, here's all the things I hate. And it was really cathartic for me. So it looks like, share the results. Awesome. So for the most part, average amount, we have a couple people at none to a little bit. So as far as workplace goes, sometimes if there's no joy at all, first I'll figure out why. You probably already know. You probably have a list. And is there something that you can do individually or potentially with your team to move the needle a little bit where you do have aspects that bring you joy in your job? Hold on. So a couple things. Let's use the chat feature. Let's just brainstorm together. Think of some things potentially you could do to make your job more, I don't want to say entertaining, but fun. Something you look forward to. Just put some stuff in the chat, or you can just shout them out. Let's get a little list. I can get the ball rolling. Go on adventures. I miss being with my coworkers. We would go out for lunch and stuff. That's kind of been a joy killer. Damn COVID. How about that? Do they teach us that project managers are supposed to verify their assumptions? Absolutely, yes. That's interesting. What do you mean by that, Craig? How about, what are some other things we could do to increase joy? Oh, I love that, Amanda. Get to know my teams better. it's hard now since we're all not co-located, but to set up, oh, thanks, to set up some just fun time on Zoom. So at NextUp, and we're not very good at doing this, we have periodic meetings that are like happy hour over Zoom. And it's really nice just to like kick back, don't talk about work, and just get to know each other a little bit better. What else? What are some other things you could do? So this is actually all the stuff that I talked about, those resolutions, for me, just getting stuff done and off my plate brings me joy, right? When I have, like, say I'm writing a blog, I'm like, I'm just stuck on this for weeks. I can't think of anything creative. It's really frustrating. And I don't enjoy sitting down at the computer and working on it. So I think some of those things you can put into place, I think will also add to your joy at work. Plus doing creative things, like sometimes if I'm just doing the task list over and over and over, and it's so boring, it's nice to be able to do something innovative. What else? What are some other ideas? Stay in the present-ish. Ooh, what do I mean by that, Brian? I love that.
Well, a lot of it, like trying to forget about the things I can't control, like COVID, not being able to go to lunch, you know, bad things that happen, just, okay, stay in the present, like enjoy the things that are happening now. And the issue is you still have to learn and you have to have some plans and stuff, but, you know, just be there like, okay, this is fun when you're enjoying it.
Right. I love that. Thank you. And that's a really good point. There's certain things that are out of your control. And if you get to the point where I got to take it anymore, I have no say in that, maybe it's time to find another job. But in most cases, that's why I tell my kids, like, that's why they call it work and not play. Sometimes it's hard and there's things outside of your control, but you can do small things. It's weird how little small things can really make a difference. Interact with customers. I want to do that too. That's just fun. And then it's just a delight when they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, this new feature that you added. It's so rewarding. At least
yeah. I think sometimes when you're not interacting with customers as much, you forget how important what you're working on is to different people and the value that you're adding, and you get kind of more like, okay, I have this to-do list, what's next, what haven't we done? And I think interacting with customers helps kind of bring you back to the positive side and bring back that joy.
I love that. Thank you, Amanda. That's excellent. Kind of brings you ground. What brings me joy? Now, this is really dumb, but one of the things that has really brought me more joy, and I can't see this, is I finally broke down and I bought a really nice office chair to use in my basement, essentially. I was like, oh, they're so expensive. I don't want one. Like, it has made such a difference because my back was sore, my neck was sore. I was just miserable. So I know that sounds really, I don't know, weird, but just little things like that make a huge difference. So that's what I recommend. Get a new chair.
Like it.
All right, great, awesome. Thank you, everybody. So just to wrap this baby up, thinking of some of the different Agile practices. So, like, okay, Jill, you know, I'm going to take 2 or 3 of these resolutions that you proposed. I'm going to write them down in your resolution backlog, right? So think of it as an actual backlog where I have these things. And then rather than having these big audacious goals, if you can, break it into small little things. Hey, maybe for the creativity piece, I'm going to just simply set up a place where I can record my ideas so I don't forget them. Boom, that part's done. And then as you go throughout the year, hey, maybe I can do this as well and this as well. So you don't feel overwhelmed. And then you're more likely to stick with those. And it's so rewarding, even if it's just your own personal Kanban board, to have that list of, here's all the awesome things I did as far as my resolutions goes. I did this, 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 and this. And then it's like, okay, finally, I'm actually able to accomplish more. And this is the positive effect it has had on me. Any other thoughts on how you can use Agile to fulfill your resolutions? Oops. All right. So again, this is how you should sit down and back in the day, I write like 20, 30 different things. This is what I'm going to do this year. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to run a marathon, and just, it was ridiculous. I never did any of them. So pick 1 to 3 things that you want to do as far as maximizing your productivity, your creativity, your predictability, and your joy. And something reasonable and achievable would be fantastic. I would love to, we should meet at the end of the year and see, talk to each other and see how it went. Any questions? What questions do we have, or comments?
I think my biggest takeaway is stop starting and start finishing. That seems to be the thing that I would like to continue with this year the most.
I love that. Yes, that's like my #1 thing for this year. It's just like, get stuff done, then pull something else in. Absolutely. What else?
Do you have any strategies for like kind of in the vein of encouraging innovation and the innovation station idea we talked about? One of the things that I think I find challenging with my role is not stunting that creativity based on what we can do right now versus what we want to do. Because a lot of times, you know, we're working toward MVP in a certain situation. And so sometimes we're not able to go do that great idea in the moment. And I think that can be frustrating for team members sometimes. Any strategies on managing that of like, this is a great idea, we just can't do it right now?
Yeah, thank you. Amanda, that's awesome. So a couple of suggestions. Put it in your backlog. So it's like, I love this idea. Put it in the backlog, like it's right here. And this is why this is priority number 20 or whatever. Also, here's a thought. Maybe you have a certain amount of your backlog devoted to things like that, a percentage, like, okay, 5% of the items in our backlog are going to be these innovative ideas that the team had. Otherwise, they tend to like, oh, we'll get to that later, we'll get to it later, and you never do. That's also, I recommend that if you have like infrastructure stuff that you need to work on, hey, we're going to have 15% of our backlog will be, hey, we're going to clean up code in this sprint or in this certain iteration. I think that would be helpful. And then just setting out, and even if maybe it's not your backlog, maybe it's just that innovation station where you have this place where people can record, hey, here's this great idea, and then talk back and forth to each other what the value would be, right? Because you want to always, as a product, you're always like, okay, this is cool, but which one is going to bring me more value? You're always weighing which one should I do next based on that. Other questions? Let's see. Oh, the question from Adam in the chat. A course using Agile in non-traditional settings. Yes, I love that, because Agile, right, started in the software industry, but we have so many other people that are using it for different things. For marketing, I use it just to create new trainings, do things like that. I use Kanban, and it's really flexible. So I'm trying to change some of our material so we have more examples that are outside of software development. What other questions? Do we have any other questions? Can be about anything. I'm here. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. All right, so thank you everyone for joining. Hopefully this has been helpful, and at least if you can take one thing away to help things flow more smoothly, help you get more stuff done without stressing you out and working 1 billion hours, right? That's not a way to be more productive. That's just a way to destroy your staff. So other applications that Agile is not suited for. This is a question from Craig. I'm going to say no, but there are certain cases like in the government where you have to have more upfront documentation. You just have to, it's their policy. So then you get a little bit of, not that that's good, but that's just how it is. You have a little bit of, what should I say, waterfally agile, because you do have to do some of those upfront. That's the only case I can think of where agile wouldn't be a good fit. All right, other questions? So this is, like I said, this has been recorded. You will get a link if you want to rewatch it. If there's some things like, oh, I forgot what she said. And if you ever want to reach out to me individually, jill.stott@NextUp Solutions, I'll be more than happy to chat. All right. Thank you so much. You're welcome to sign off. If there's more questions, I'll just sit here for the next 10 minutes or so if you want to chat. Have a lovely week. I thought it was Friday. It's only Wednesday.
I know, close. It's not even Friday Eve yet. That's the sad part.
Hey, Alan, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, good. I always enjoy listening to you train.
Good to have you here.
Sorry, my computer's ringing and I don't know what's ringing about it.
I think it's mine.
Sounds like a Zoom call.
Or is it me?
Is it a Teams call or something?
No, I'm not sure.
I don't know. I got way too many chat tools. Too many clients with different chat tools.
Man, all right. So Brian, how's it going? I haven't seen you for a while.
It's going.
So Brian is an agile coach for Accenture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a new gig. Do you have a new gig?
I guess it's newish. I think I started in July. I don't know. I'll be there through October.
Oh, cool.
Just
Yeah, Kyle
not as much fun or easy. Go ahead.
Kyle is he's looking to go into agile coaching.
Yeah. So I've been kind of faking it as an agile coach in a sense for 4 years because I worked with a company helping them advise their business, and it just, I was learning about agile for the first time. I was learning about lean startup and some other methodologies, just figuring out how to manage the development of a new product line for a chiropractor who just wanted to celebrate his boot camp. And so we were figuring things out together and trying to develop this new product from very little. He had a physical product and he had a failing boot camp. And so that kind of got me into this whole agile thing. And since then I've just been learning. COVID kind of got me out of that situation. And so now I'm just looking for next steps. Like, what is the future of that looks like? And I'm getting really excited as I meet more and more agile coaches. And, I've been advising executive leadership for like 10 years now in various forms. So it seems like a really good fit, especially as I'm developing my own product now. So I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on like what that has looked like for you guys.
I think most coaches I know, you kind of fall into it. It's just like I never intended to be an agile coach. But he just kind of, I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
Kind of fall into it, I would say. It started more of this is really cool. Let's do it with my team or teams. And then, maybe we can help some other people to, all of a sudden I'm an agile coach.
Like, this is a job?
Yeah. I guess the biggest question I've got with that is like, so I don't come from a software development background at all. I don't have any of that. I mean, I've led some projects and I've I guess you would call them traditionally JAD meetings, where we, come together and we have these applications that are leading to be built for a certain purpose in my organization. But, outside of that, like it's all just been hodgepodge, kind of figuring out what to do.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have development experience.
Yeah.
It is nice to have, well, not nice. I would say it's key to have experience in the areas you want to coach. So it's great if you just have like product and business experience. I've known some agile coaches that come from that space, and that's what they know, and they're great. They tend to coach more in that area, but I guess I would say good experience, understand agile in the sense of understand why it works and how to apply it, and then just be like willing to listen and learn and help people understand. And
it's a weird job, and it's so much
it
the
is.
people skills, it's those soft skills
It
that
is.
make all the difference, that nobody teaches you how to do that.
And one thing I see, you really have to be able to be okay with people not doing stuff or not being perfect. I see a lot of coaches burn out because their clients or whoever, like, they're just not getting it. They're doing it all wrong, and it eats them up. And you just have to learn that nobody's going to get it. Everyone's going to do it wrong. Like,
And that's something like wrong. Like, it's not like,
yeah,
you know,
it's more focused on, did you help them? Are they a little bit better?
Yeah.
Not are they doing something perfect? I don't know. When I did trainings, that's how I felt too. Like, I realized 90% of the stuff they're going to forget about or not use.
well, I think like the nudge. I like the whole concept. Have you read that book? I love it. Nudge, instead of, set things up to make it the right choice, the easy choice, without pushing them. Hey, we're going to do Scrum now. Go. It's just those little things can really add up.
Hey, Jill, I'm gonna hop off, but thank you for letting me join in on the webinar here, and I will talk with you later this week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And
Bye.
Bye. Is there a